Greetings! It's the Northern Anglican with another video to share with you guys today. If you're new here, please feel free to check out other content on this channel. If you like where the channel is going and you like the content, I would highly appreciate you subscribing to this channel for a couple reasons that we're going to get into today. And the main reason is to help it grow. We really want this channel to grow, and I'm going to explain why here in a little bit. And for those of you who have been here with us, this channel, for a little time now, I want to say welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be discussing the current status of our mission station and get into it a little bit more. Because I feel like I haven't really shared a whole lot about our mission station. I've brought it up and I've discussed a little bit about it, but I haven't really shared with you guys what the heck are we doing and how did we come about. So I wanted to take time to do that in this video. And trust me, I'll keep this video short. I want to really kind of focus in the beginning though about some housekeeping stuff about this mission station. All right. And so with that being said, just so you guys know that we are legitimate, I'm going to display our document of institution, which right here is from the bishop, which you can see the bishop of the Missouri Valley Diocese. Late last year, so December, look, it's the second day of December in the year 2025, we were established as a mission station. Now, I chose the name Saint Raphael, named after the archangel. And as I've said before, you can read about Saint Raphael in the book of Tobit. Um, and it's no surprise where we're located. We're on the ACC's official website, so it's not like I'm going to hide our location. We're located in Duluth, Minnesota. If you don't know about Duluth, Minnesota, it's a very big tourist area in the summertime, and it's a very beautiful city if you're staying within the tourist sections and you avoid certain parts of town. But hey, that's the way it is with any city, right? Um, we also are bordered with the state of Wisconsin. Now, our mission station was something that I pushed for, and we're going to get into that as well. In our location, we don't have anything within the Anglican continuum for at least 3 hours away. I think the nearest one is St. Dunstan's parish, which is about it's in Bloomington, Minnesota, I believe, and that's about 3 hours away from us. And so there was just nothing here for us. Our only options really at this town and location is littered with Lutheran churches. We do have a couple tech, the Episcopal Church, a couple tech churches here, but nothing other than the LCMS Church, which is just one LCMS church in Duluth. There is one in Superior as well, but in Duluth, there's nothing that is, I guess, more high church and more conservative theologically than that one particular LCMS church that is not hyper Protestant as well. Your other options are very hyper Protestant options. Assemblies of God, Pentecostals, Baptists, non-denominational seem to be every corner around here. So we don't really have anything. Of course, we have the Eastern Orthodox Church. That's a valid option. We have the Roman Catholic Church. Again, that's a valid option. However, um, we're Anglican Catholics for a reason, and we are not in communion with Rome. So that's a whole nother video on topic. Nevertheless, what happened? Well, my fiance and I, after discerning that I have a calling to the priesthood, and I have a calling to kind of minister and help others spiritually, especially the wounded. This is also why I chose the name Saint Raphael, because it's associated with a kind of healing, um, and also a strength and stuff as well. So I chose the name Saint Raphael. It was my idea. I presented a few names to the bishop, and one that we both agreed upon was Saint Raphael. So that's how we got the name of our mission station. What is the current status of our mission station? Well, our only clergy member is our bishop, because I am not yet ordained in any holy order. Now, the bishop has made special provisions for me to do things, but it's under his license, if that makes sense. Um, and the whole goal is to get me to that place of being within the holy orders so that I can eventually fully lead the mission station. And hopefully by that time, it'll be an actual mission, and perhaps, hopefully, even a parish. That's our goal. But how did it come about? So again, like I had mentioned, we were kind of discerning that I had this call for the priesthood, me and my fiance, and that required me to start going back to school. So I'm between the age 40 and 30, so I'm not yet 40 years old. I know my voice makes me sound like I'm young. I am forever grateful for my voice. It's a young man's voice. But I am older than 30, sadly but true. And but graciously, I'm still not yet 40 years old. So it's not too late to get started. That was my mindset. I figured, my whole life direction, I was going down a different path. I wanted to do things more so based off of my flesh and pursue these careers and other things. And God said, nope. We had tragic events that happened simultaneously. Actually, three of them happened simultaneously, and my fiance and I really started digging deep into our faith because of uh, the tragedies. It was too painful. Uh, Actually, it was four. I always forget the fourth one, but there's three major ones and one kind of, I guess you consider minor one, whatever. But um, so that helped us really to like hone in on our faith and start growing. So we started deciding that I was going to go into the priesthood, but I needed to start getting schooling done, going back to school. And so I started getting, working on my bachelor's in divinity, which I'm still working on. But in that course of action, I was taking classes on church history. And in church history, once you study church history, it's nearly impossible for you to remain hyper Protestant, unless you want to remain in a state of denial. Okay, because once you get into church history, you're kind of stuck with apostolic succession, and holy orders. You get into John chapter 20, 23, so on and so forth, and uh, the authority that Christ gave to his disciples, which was more authority than his followers, because Jesus had many followers, but he only had 12 disciples. I could do a whole video on this, but we're not going to. So as I'm learning these things in school, I realized that we're no longer, me and my fiance, I'm talking to her about this, we can't do hyper Protestantism anymore, because we are missing out on the fullness of God's church, Christ's church. And so we started looking at options. Did we go to the Roman Catholic Church? No. But we both knew that was a big no-no. So eventually we decided that there was only one location in our area that was theologically sound for the most part, and was also more high church, and that was the LCMS Lutheran Church here in Duluth. And I'll forever be grateful to Pastor Frank, and the people there were amazing. The divine liturgies were awesome. So I decided I'm going to become a catechumen for the LCMS church. So I started going to the classes, the catechesis, and so on and so forth. And there came a point in time in school during my classes where I started to learn about some things that, made me question Martin Luther. I won't get into that in this video. But I also really came across this concept of apostolic succession because Lutherans are very similar to Anglicans. It's really true. Very similar, though there are some differences, but it's very similar. But the one thing that always struck me as odd, especially coming from hyper Protestant churches from my background, was the fact that when we do our confession in the Lutheran Church, the general confession that we do during Divine Liturgy, the Pastor Frank, would then turn around and say, by the authority given to him, the keyword, the authority given to him, he hereby forgives you of your sins. And so he announces the absolution, which we have that in Anglican tradition as well. So here's the problem. I started to think to myself, how can this pastor do this? What authority is he talking about by the authority given to him? Was he able to do this? So then I started looking into apostolic succession. I started reading scriptures and I started reading it with kind of my radar going off for apostolic succession. And I learned a few things, and I can make an entire video on this, but I basically learned that Christ gave his disciples basically the authority of his mission, if you will, that he did not give to his followers and his other believers and people who followed him. Because in hyper Protestantism, you get this idea that Jesus only had 12 followers. Not true. Jesus had many, many, many followers, many people who believed in him, but he only had the 12 disciples. Okay, and he chose them. Like you said, they didn't choose him; he chose them. And so they were given this special authority. So when you see in the book of Acts, everything that, St. Paul, St. Peter, all these guys were doing, they were going and they were doing all these things. And then as later down the years, so in the 100s, 200s, 300s, you see that, heresy is trying to enter into the church. And so how do they attack these heretics? Well, they point to their apostolic succession, that their teacher was established by so and so and so all the way back to the apostles. So you start getting this tactile apostolic succession proper, as they call it. And so I started looking into Lutheranism, and I was going to grant them the benefit of the doubt that, hey, if Martin Luther, because I know the church, the ACC church teaches, and I believe it, I respect it, I acknowledge it, that bishops take the place of the apostles. And so bishops are required for any proper ordination. I believe in that, okay? But I do know that presbyter also was a term for a priest and also a bishop or an overseer. So I was willing to even grant, because I really liked the LCMS church that we were at, I was willing to grant them apostolic succession if they could prove that Martin Luther ordained somebody and then that person ordained some. So there was like a priest to priest line of succession, and it just doesn't exist. And my time with the Lutherans, I learned, that Martin Luther believed in the priesthood of all believers, and he was encouraging congregations, groups of people, to elect their own priest, if you will. And in fact, if you read his writings, like the small and large catechisms that he wrote, he's not shy to be very vocal about how upset he is that a lot of these elected priests, that these congregations, he has gone around and he's examining, these priests, that they don't even know the Ten Commandments, they don't even know these things, and so he's just appalled. And so he gets really frustrated, and that's why he writes his small catechism. and stuff, and then the larger catechism. So, and all the history that I can see behind it implies that Martin Luther and the alike never actually ordained or kept this apostolic succession going. So then that's when I realized that when the priest or the pastor at the LCMS church makes that declaration by the authority given to him, I realized that with all due respect, there is no genuine authority given to him. Now you can make the argument that God has gave him the authority. And that could be a valid argument, but that is just not ordinarily how it's done. You see, throughout history, it's always been from the apostles and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not going to get into this, but I know that the Roman Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox, they attack holy orders within Anglicanism as well, and they say that ours are invalid. Again, you've seen I've recommended a book on apostolic succession within Anglicanism um, in one of my previous videos. I'm not going to get into that today, but the defense or the apology, if you will, for Anglicans in the Anglican continuum anyway, of having proper holy orders is pretty solid. It was actually more of a political move on behalf of the Pope to try and make it seem as if Anglicans didn't have holy orders. Uh, they don't have a problem with the EO having holy orders, right? It was just a fact that they didn't want another group of Christians maintaining holy orders, so they sought to make it null and void, and that's the papal bull, so on and so forth. We're not going to get into all of that. So, but anyways, so I learned that okay, I'm learning all of this in school for my bachelor's in divinity and stuff, and church history and all these things. I can't, with good conscience, stay in here, let alone even have a potential for becoming ordained within a Lutheran body because of the lack of apostolic succession, because there's no authority given to anybody to do absolution. Like that comes through apostolic succession for a priest or a pastor to make that declaration. All right. And so the only other option was go to the Roman Catholic Church or go to the Eastern Orthodox Church. And you see that majorly online. You see online people saying, well, I studied church history and I realized that, the only options there are is the, Oriental Orthodox, which very few people go that route. But then they say the Eastern Orthodox or the Roman Catholic Church. And it kind of frustrates me because people don't take the time to research that even in Lutheranism, there is one Lutheran body that does have proper apostolic succession. It's somewhere over the pond, so it's somewhere like by Europe. I don't know if it's Finland. I think it could be Finland or whatever. It's some national Lutheran church, uh, Denmark. I don't know where it is, but it's over there. They're the only ones that for surely have proper apostolic succession. But other than that, there's Anglicans. Us Anglicans have proper apostolic succession. And I don't know why we are not a viable option for people. I guess I shouldn't say I don't know why. I think I do know why, and that is the suppression from the Roman Catholic Church and of course the Eastern Orthodox Church as well. They don't even acknowledge the Roman Catholic Church, let's be honest. And the Roman Catholics do acknowledge the Eastern Orthodox though, but whatever. We can get into that. I can make more videos on that as well. But Anglicanism in the sense of the Anglican continuum, so Anglican Catholics such as myself, the Anglican continuum, that's pretty much Anglican Catholics, they're a viable option for apostolic succession. You have the Polish National Catholic Church. There are old Catholics as well. They're a viable option that have maintained their apostolic succession. So there are other options, but people aren't aware. They don't dig deep enough. They feel, and I felt this way, like there's the only two options, East or West, Eastern Orthodoxy or, the Roman Catholic Church. No, 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 no. There's the Via Media, right? The when we said the Via Media, the Anglican tradition as well. And ultimately, I that's what I did. I continued researching and learning through school, and we're praying and we're discerning about this. And I know this video is getting long, so I'm gonna try and wrap this up here pretty quick here, hopefully within the next 5 minutes or so. So, anyways, we decided to go to Tech, the Episcopal Church, in America here. That is the official Anglican Church of the United States. You call it official, really. I don't think they are. I think the Anglican Continuum is the official Episcopal Church. Okay, if you look at the history of that, again, that could be a whole nother video. But we started attending Tech, and this is before I knew anything about their views on homosexuality, women's ordination, practicing homosexuals as uh, clergy, deaconesses, priestesses. That's what I call them, and so on and so forth. And so I started going there, and we started going to this early church. The early church service was at 8 a.m. The main one was at like 10 a.m. And in the early one, there was this old priest. He was an older priest. I think he's still alive, though he's gone to some other parish in a different location outside of our region. And he would do the mass or whatever at 8 a.m. And so I started going there because he is like Stone Age old, okay? So he was probably ordained like before the whole split off in the 70s. So he probably does have proper apostolic succession. And so I started going there and learning or whatever. But then I was saddened to know that he was planning to leave. Um, and this man has got to be in his 80s. Okay, he's a very old guy. Father Rick's his name. I'll never forget him. He was so great to us. And so then the rector, her name is Maggie, and I couldn't stand Maggie because she would always degrade God. And this is how she would do it in her services, and you can see it on YouTube. She goes, "In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, Mother of us all." And when I talked to Rick about this, Father Rick about this, he said that Maggie does that to imply that God is neither male nor female, but rather he is Father and Mother of us all. And so I started researching, what other faith or religion refers to Mother of us all. And it turns out that it's very common within Wiccans and pagans to do that. And it doesn't surprise me that Maggie has those vibes of having this attachment or experience with kind of this Wiccan stuff or whatever, and paganism and all this stuff, and it's brought into the church. But then I started learning about these ridiculous things like the homosexuality being okay and even supported in pride, and these social movements and this hatred towards conservatives and all these other. And I said, no, no, this is like the ELCA within the Lutheran side. I said, we can't do this. And so I decided to leave, especially when I found out Father Rick was leaving, because Father Rick is more Anglo-Catholic. He was not, I don't know why he stayed with Tech. I really don't. He's more, if you ask him his beliefs and his stance, he would align perfectly with, the Anglican Continuum. I don't know why he stayed. Maybe job security? I don't know. Maybe friends with the bishop at the time. I have no idea because the man is far from the beliefs of the current state of Tech. But so that was kind of the last straw for me. But so then I started researching what is like, is this Anglicanism Tech? Is this what it is? And no, it's not. I found out about the ACNA. I found out about um something about the Orthodox Anglicans or something, and also like the Anglican Continuum and stuff. So I just started shooting my shot everywhere because remember, I'm in school. I want to go through the process of being ordained. I already have a fellowship where I'm already leading like a Bible study and a fellowship where we're helping people. And eventually I'm getting denied by everybody. I'm getting denied by I won't say which diocese or people I worked with by talking to them through dialogue and stuff, but I'm getting denied by almost everybody in the ACNA. I'm getting denied by everybody I'm reaching out to. So at one point, I reached out to, I think it was the APA within the Anglican Continuum, and they had mentioned something. It might not have. It could have. I don't even remember who it was. It was somebody within the Anglican Continuum, and at that time, it was still the G3. So it was the Anglican Catholic Church, and then it was the ACA and the APA. And so whoever it was responded to my email and said, unfortunately, we don't have the resources and we're unable to help you, but we think that Bishop Patrick Fedora might be able to assist you. So here's his information. So they gave me his information and I sent him an email. I gave him a brief description of, our situation. Like, hey, we're trying to, eventually create a church plant here that's within apostolic succession. We don't want to, become Roman Catholics. We don't want to become Eastern Orthodox. And so this is kind of our only viable shot. We do have some limitations, so on and so forth, which is why we were rejected by the ACNA and all this other stuff, which is ridiculous. Uh, it's so ironic. I don't even want to get into that, but so I was just honest with him. And so he got back to me and he was very nice and polite. And so we set up a phone call and a meeting. And so we touched base and we talked for quite a bit. And the whole nutshell of it was he was willing to accept us out of everybody, and nobody else would accept me. One, because I didn't have a degree yet, and I didn't have any official pastoral experience other than when I was in my non-denominational church when I first became a Christian. I was kind of their backup pastor, and I did sermons a couple times there, but so on and so forth. But I didn't have a degree in anything like related to like religion or philosophy or anything like that. And just other things as well. It was just ridiculous. And so I confessed all these things to Patrick, Bishop Patrick Fedora. And the nutshell was he was willing to accept us. He was willing to work with us if I was willing to work with him. So if uh, he was willing to basically reach his hand out and help us up if I were to continue to be honest and open and uh show myself trustworthy to him, so to speak. And that's how we started our relationship. At the time it was the ACA. They ran a background check on me like they do, I'm sure, any people who want to become clergy. And so like I got the letter in the mail, like, hey, the ACA ran a background check on you for employment reasons, so on and so forth. And we started talking about mission station names. We said he sent me a bunch of materials, and I wanted to make a video about catechesis. I know I did in the last one, but he sent me a bunch of like recommendations for books and so on and so forth. And then he told me kind of our game plan, like what we're gonna do to get me to eventually, get into holy orders, church willing, Lord willing, and myself willing, right? But in this time, it's going to be discernment. So that's kind of what happened. And so I got all of this stuff, these books, and I started learning the Book of Common Prayer and all these things. And he answered a ton of my questions and so on and so forth. And, and then because of the distance, uh, he was able to accommodate for us. So we're able to receive Holy Eucharist. And we attend a Polish National Catholic Church that uses a funeral home chapel once a month. So we go there when Father John, that's his name, comes up and he holds a mass for a very small amount of people. They're all very old. They're in their 80s and 90s. I think the youngest is like late 70s. And so their population is dwindling. And so Father John has been very accepting of us and working with the bishop. So the bishop is pulling all these strings to making sure that we have access to the body and the blood of Christ, that we can go to these masses because we have nothing near us yet. And so that's what we do. And the bishop is actually going to come and do confirmations for those who have recently joined our mission station, receptions as well. And he's also going to be performing our wedding for me and my fiance. So these are good. And we also have baptism stuff lined up or whatever. So I want to cry because there was just apart from the whole, I didn't have a degree, and this is why the ACNA was all like whatever. All these other people, everybody was just denying me, right? He showed the love of Christ and the compassion and the human understanding of frailty and imperfections within all humans, right? I have my thorns in my side. He has his. We all have ours. So because I have a particular issue or whatever, that is beyond my control, he didn't see that as a problem and he took me in. So that's how we got our mission station started. And so here we are. Now what happens from here, now that I've just explained everything from basically the beginning to where we are now, the goal is I'm going to continue to write books, and you can go to lulu.com, just type in my name, you'll see my books there. Once YouTube gets me figured out, like I mentioned earlier, we're just doing a 360 to wrap it up here, start from the beginning, get back, and then land the plane. We're gonna get these up there. All the purchases are going to be helpful for our mission station to continue to grow, and also helping this channel grow so that we can monetize it and get ad revenue. That's gonna go towards our mission station as well. And donations, if people want to donate, we can make it happen. We can provide you with PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, whatever you want if you're feeling led to donate, and stuff like that. And so that is the goal, is to grow. The goal is to grow. Okay, that's basically what it is. But with that being said, I just want to say, God bless you guys. Thank you for staying through this video. I really hope you do get this book. It would be very, very beneficial for you, because it is something that you could just hand out to people. Think of it like a tract, right? It's something you have to read it to see what I'm saying. And stay tuned for more writings and more videos. And if there's any topic that you guys want me to discuss, whether it's Eastern Orthodoxy, whether it's the apostolic succession within Anglicanism, or anything that I've mentioned in today's video, please let me know in the comments and I will do my best to create a video on said topics. But most important, above all else, and this is always the thing that I end my videos with because that is the most truest, and that is, do not forget and remember, despite all our imperfections, that God loves you.